Have you ever been in a completely normal situation? Maybe you're standing with friends, meeting someone new, or even just relaxing at home, and suddenly your dog walks up to a person and starts sniffing their private area? It instantly becomes awkward. People start laughing. You try to pull your dog away, and you might even feel a little embarrassed. Most people assume this is bad behavior or that their dog is being inappropriate. But what if I told you that from your dog's perspective, this is one of the most normal, natural, and important things they can do? But here's the strange part. Most people completely misunderstand what's actually happening in that moment. In fact, this behavior is not random at all. It actually has a clear purpose, and once you understand it, you'll never look at it the same way again. And it gets even more interesting when you realize this isn't just about curiosity. It's actually about information. To understand this behavior, you first need to understand how dogs experience the world. Humans rely mainly on sight and sound. We recognize people by their faces, their voices, and the way they look. But dogs live in a completely different sensory world. Their strongest sense is smell, and it's not even close. Think about it like this. While you see the world, your dog is literally reading it. A dog's sense of smell is estimated to be tens of thousands of times more powerful than a human's. To put that into perspective, while we might notice a general scent, dogs can detect layers of information within that scent, almost like reading a detailed story. For them, smell is not just about detecting odors. It's about gathering data, identifying individuals, and understanding emotions and biological signals. Now, here's where things get even more revealing. The human body has certain areas that produce stronger and more information-rich scents, especially areas like the armpits and the groin region. These areas contain apocrine glands, which release chemical signals known as pheromones. And this is exactly what your dog is actually after. These pheromones carry a surprising amount of information. They can tell a dog about a person's age, gender, emotional state, and even whether someone is feeling stressed, relaxed, or nervous. So what looks embarrassing to you is actually extremely valuable data for your dog. So when your dog goes straight for someone's private area, it's not being weird. It's actually going directly to the most information-rich source. Another important reason dogs engage in this behavior is identification. Dogs use scent the way humans use names and faces. In other words, this is your dog's version of saying, "Who are you?" When your dog sniffs someone, especially in these scent-rich areas, it is essentially introducing itself and trying to understand who that person is. It's similar to how dogs greet each other by sniffing each other's rear ends. And yes, as strange as it looks to us, this is completely normal in their world. To us, that might seem strange or even unpleasant, but for dogs, it's completely normal and socially appropriate. It's their version of a handshake. So when your dog does this to a human, it's simply applying the same instinctive behavior in a human context. But this goes deeper than just identification. There's also an emotional and hormonal factor involved. Dogs are extremely sensitive to changes in the human body. For example, they can detect hormonal shifts, which is why dogs sometimes behave differently around pregnant women or people going through certain medical conditions. And this is where it gets a little surprising. They can also sense emotional changes. If someone is anxious, scared, or even excited, their body chemistry changes slightly, and your dog can pick up on that instantly through scent. So sometimes your dog knows how someone feels before you do. This is why sometimes dogs seem more interested in certain people than others. It's not random. It's based on the information they're receiving through smell. Interestingly, height also plays a role in why dogs tend to target that specific area. For most dogs, especially medium to large breeds, the groin region is simply at the perfect nose level. So in a way, it's not just instinct, it's also convenience. So while humans might greet each other face to face, dogs naturally approach the closest and most accessible scent source, which just happens to be that area. It's not intentional in the way we think. It's simply practical from the dog's point of view. Now you might be wondering, does this behavior mean something is wrong? The answer is no, not at all. In fact, in most cases, it means your dog is behaving exactly how it should. In most cases, this is completely normal behavior and nothing to worry about. However, it can become a problem if your dog is overly persistent or makes people uncomfortable. In those situations, it's important to train your dog to greet people in a more controlled way. You can do this by redirecting their attention using basic commands like sit or stay and rewarding calm behavior. The goal isn't to stop the instinct, it's to guide it. The goal is not to punish the dog because they're not doing anything wrong in their own understanding, but rather to guide them toward behavior that fits better in human social social settings. Another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes excessive sniffing can indicate heightened curiosity or even anxiety. So if it feels excessive, it might be telling you something. If your dog is constantly fixated on sniffing certain individuals, it might be worth observing their overall behavior and environment. Dogs use scent not just for curiosity, but also for reassurance. So in some cases, they might be trying to gather extra information because something feels unfamiliar or uncertain to them. What's truly fascinating about all of this is how different the dog's world is compared to ours. They're not being awkward. They're being accurate. While we might judge behavior based on social norms and comfort, dogs operate purely on instinct and biology. They are not trying to embarrass you. They are not being disrespectful. And they definitely don't understand the concept of personal space the way humans do. They are simply using the tools nature has given them to understand their environment in the most efficient way possible.